Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Today, we're going to be taking a look at some excerpts you sent in
Right.
about the fourth agreement and really kind of trying to tease out
Mm-hmm.
how this concept can impact personal growth
Yes.
and well-being.
Exactly.
So our mission today is to really understand this idea of consistently doing your best
Yeah.
and how you can integrate that
Yeah.
not just as a fleeting thought, but as a deeply ingrained habit in your life.
Absolutely. A deeply ingrained habit.
So to kind of kick things off here, have you ever found yourself, pouring a huge amount of energy into something?
Yeah.
You're feeling completely stretched, and yet the outcome feels underwhelming. Or maybe on the flip side, that little voice inside is kind of whispering that you could have given more,
Oh, yeah.
but for whatever reason, you didn't quite get there.
I think everyone listening right now can probably relate to that.
Yeah, in some way.
It's such a common human experience.
It is.
And that's what we want to look at with this fourth agreement.
Yeah. Because it offers some really insightful direction
Yeah.
into how to kind of navigate those feelings.
Yeah, for sure.
So let's just get right to it.
Okay.
What is this fourth agreement?
Yeah, so the fourth agreement is actually pretty simple and direct.
Okay.
It's always do your best.
Okay. That sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah, it does sound pretty straightforward.
Just give it your all the time.
Yeah, just go 100%.
But the material you sent really highlights some interesting nuances
Yeah.
about what your best actually looks like.
Mm-hmm.
For you.
Exactly. It's not this thing like fixed superhero level of exertion.
Okay.
What's really key here
Yeah.
is recognizing that your best is not a static target.
Mm-hmm.
It changes.
Okay. Yeah, the text gives some really good examples, like how your best in the morning after a good night's sleep is going to be totally different than your best at the end of a really long day, when you're exhausted.
I mean, how many times have you felt great in the morning?
Yeah.
Like, oh, I got this. I'm going to get so much done today. And then like 2
Yeah.
o'clock rolls around
Totally.
and you're just like, ooh, I just want to take a nap,
Yeah.
And your best changes hour to hour, day to day.
Yeah.
I mean, over time.
And even just, thinking about your physical well-being,
Yeah.
your best when you're healthy
Right?
versus your best when you're sick.
Yeah. Are you hungover?
Yeah.
Are you sober?
Mm-hmm. Are you happy?
Yeah.
Are you upset?
Are you angry? Are you frustrated?
Yeah.
These all play a role.
Huge role in what your best is going to look like.
Absolutely.
But it was encouraging to see in the text that our best can actually evolve and expand
Yes.
as we build new positive habits.
Absolutely. It creates this positive upward spiral.
Okay.
So as you consciously start to apply these agreements, including doing your best, your overall capacity to bring your best to situations actually increases.
Okay.
So it's almost like you're strengthening a muscle.
God,
You don't even realize you were working.
I like that analogy. Yeah.
Something else that stood out to me that you sent
Okay.
was the discussion around the dangers of pushing too hard versus not quite giving it enough.
Yes.
So can we kind of dig into that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure.
Especially as it relates to maybe those feelings we talked about at the top of the show.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So if you're consistently trying to do more than your best, you're setting yourself up for overexertion. And that can lead to feeling depleted.
Yeah.
And working against your natural rhythms. And ironically, it can actually slow you down in reaching your goals.
Right.
Because you risk burning out. Have you ever felt that?
Oh, yeah.
Like you just push yourself so hard
Yeah.
that you almost have to take a significant step back just to recover.
Yeah, it's a counterproductive feeling of just running yourself ragged.
Exactly. And then on the other side of the coin,
Okay.
if you're doing less than your best, that can open the door to feelings of frustration with yourself,
Uh-huh.
self-judgment,
Yeah.
guilt,
And those lingering regrets, that can really weigh on you.
if only I had thoughts.
Exactly. The thoughts that just keep replaying in your mind.
Yeah, exactly.
So it really seems like the key here
Okay.
is to consistently aim for your best in that specific moment, acknowledging your current circumstances and not veering into either extreme of pushing yourself beyond your limits or holding back
Okay.
unnecessarily.
So finding that balance. And it sounds like the rewards are pretty significant.
They are.
The text talks about a feeling of liberation
Yes.
that comes from this. So how does that work?
Well, the text really talks about consistently doing your best as a key to freeing yourself from self-criticism,
Okay.
guilt, blame, and even self-punishment.
Wow.
So it's almost like breaking a major spell that we often unknowingly live under.
That's a powerful image, breaking free from that cycle.
Yeah,
It makes you wonder how something that sounds so simple have such a big impact.
it does. And the text offers a really interesting story. I'm curious to hear your take on this anecdote about the man seeking enlightenment at the Buddhist temple.
Oh, that one really stuck with me.
Yeah,
Where the man asks the master how long it will take him to reach transcendence if he meditates for 4 hours every day.
right.
And the master says 10 years.
10 years.
And then the man's like, okay, well, what if I double that?
Mm-hmm.
What if I meditate for 8 hours a day?
Mm-hmm.
And the master says 20 years.
20 years.
It's so counterintuitive.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
And I think the master's reasoning is so insightful.
Yes.
And really applicable
Yeah.
to this whole idea of doing your best.
Mm-hmm.
Because he says, the aim isn't to sacrifice joy or life
Right.
in the pursuit of some higher goal.
Right. It's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about truly living, experiencing happiness and connecting with love along the way.
Yeah.
If 2 hours of meditation genuinely is your best, pushing yourself to 8 will likely just lead to exhaustion,
Yeah.
resentment,
Right.
and ultimately missing the point.
And diminishing your enjoyment of the process.
Exactly.
So it really highlights it's about the quality of
Yeah.
the effort you put in,
Yeah.
not just the quantity,
100%.
the time or energy.
Yeah, and it really underscores the risk of burnout when you're constantly trying to operate beyond your natural capacity.
Mm.
It's almost like the joy and the meaning get squeezed out of what you're doing.
Totally. And this leads so perfectly into this idea of motivation.
Yes.
The text draws a contrast
Mm.
between taking action because you genuinely enjoy it
Right.
versus acting solely because you're chasing some external reward.
Yeah, like a carrot on a stick.
Have you noticed that difference in your own life?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think most people have.
Yeah,
You see it work sometimes.
totally.
People just working for payday.
Mm-hmm.
They're constantly looking at the clock
Yeah.
until they can get their paycheck and get their time off.
Yeah. You can just feel that resistance, that lack of best effort,
Yeah.
Absolutely. But what's so interesting is this alternative that's presented.
Yeah.
When you find enjoyment
Mhm.
in the action itself, when it comes from within,
Yes.
you're naturally more inclined to give your best,
You are.
even if the reward isn't the primary focus.
Exactly.
And what's interesting is the text points out that that can actually lead to greater outcome
Yeah.
than if you were just fixated on the external reward.
It's a paradox,
It is.
but I've experienced it.
Yeah, and it's like that whole energy shifts from obligation to enthusiasm.
100%.
And it makes a huge difference in the effort
Absolutely.
you bring.
Yeah.
So then the text brings in this idea of the judge, that inner critic.
That inner voice.
So how does doing your best
Mm-hmm.
interact with that voice? That can be so harsh.
Yeah, doing your best essentially takes the wind out of the sails of the judge.
Okay.
So when you know deep down
Yeah.
that you gave something your genuine best effort,
Mm-hmm.
you remove the opportunity for that critical inner voice to find fault.
Okay.
So the texts even give you this direct response.
Yeah.
When the judge pops up and starts criticizing you,
Yeah.
you can just say, I did my best.
I did my best.
And that's it.
And it's done.
Yeah.
There's a sense of completeness to that.
Yeah.
It seems like that would tie in directly with self-acceptance.
It does.
Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, doing your best fosters self-acceptance because you have that internal knowledge
Right.
that you put in your honest effort,
Yeah.
given your circumstances.
Given the circumstances at the time.
Yeah, and it also emphasizes this crucial role of learning from your mistakes.
Okay.
It's not about achieving some impossible standard of perfection. It's about this process
Right.
of practice, honestly evaluating your results,
Mm-hmm.
and then continuing to practice and improve.
Yeah.
And so this natural cycle of effort and reflection really helps to increase your self-awareness.
So this ongoing cycle of effort learning, and then that naturally leads to self-acceptance. And the text also points out that when you're truly engaged in doing your best and you're finding some level of enjoyment in the activity, it doesn't even feel like work.
It doesn't.
Have you found that to be true?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like that old saying, if you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think there's a lot of truth to that.
Mm-hmm.
When the motivation shifts from those external pressures of trying to please others or worrying about judgment to an intrinsic desire to be engaged with what you're doing when you're doing something because you genuinely want to, because you find some satisfaction or interest in it, then giving your best tends to flow more naturally.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel like such a drain on your energy.
And then the text broadens the perspective even further,
Yeah.
talking about how taking action itself is so vital
It is.
for living a full life.
It's crucial.
Inaction is almost presented as a form of denying your life,
Yes.
avoiding expressing who you are.
Yeah, you can have all the brilliant ideas and dreams in the world.
Right.
But without action, they remain just that, ideas. There's no tangible results, no real-world manifestation of your potential.
And the example they give is Forrest Gump.
Yes.
This guy who wasn't necessarily the most intellectual or the most sophisticated.
Well, he wasn't coming up with these elaborate plans.
No, but he was consistent.
But he was consistently giving his best effort.
Giving his best.
In whatever he was doing.
And it seemed like life rewarded him in the most unexpected ways.
It did.
What stands out to you about that?
I mean, it's a powerful illustration of how taking action, even without this meticulously detailed grand design, is really about being fully alive, and expressing your unique capabilities. It's about actively engaging with life rather than being a passive observer.
So this whole idea of consistently doing your best sounds like it could be more than just actions, like it could be a fundamental way of being.
It can.
The text refers to it as a ritual.
Yes.
So what does that mean in this context?
Well, it means consciously choosing to bring your best to everything you do.
Okay.
From the seemingly small to the significant. And really transforming it into this powerful ritual.
Okay.
A deeply held belief that guides your actions.
So it's almost like imbuing the ordinary with intention and care.
And
making it more meaningful.
100%.
And then the text takes this even further.
Yeah.
Connecting this idea of doing your best to something much larger, a sense of purpose.
Yes.
And your connection to life itself.
Absolutely. So living your life by doing your best is presented as this genuine expression of love for life.
Okay.
It's about being fully present in each moment, letting go of past regrets or anxieties about the future, and really embracing what is right now, and dwelling on what has already happened or what might happen only serves to distract you from fully engaging with and enjoying the present.
That's so true. It's like you're looking in the rearview mirror or at the horizon and you're missing what's right in front of you.
Yeah.
100%.
And then the text brings it back to something fundamental.
Okay.
This reminder of our own worth.
Yeah.
Our inherent right to be happy, to love, and to enjoy life.
Yeah.
That
simply by being alive, you demonstrate the inherent value of your existence, and doing your best is intimately connected to honoring that fundamental right to being authentically yourself and expressing your own unique inner essence.
So this fourth agreement doesn't operate in a vacuum.
No, it doesn't.
It actually strengthens and supports the other three agreements.
Yes, it does.
So how do they all work together?
Well, the text explains that consistently practicing always do your best makes it significantly more achievable to be impeccable with your word, to avoid taking things personally, and to refrain from making assumptions.
Okay.
Now, it acknowledges that you're human.
And that you'll still have moments where you might stumble with those other agreements. But the focus on consistently giving your best provides a strong foundation and encourages continuous effort, rather than getting caught up in self-criticism when you do have a misstep.
So it's like each one is supporting the other, making it easier to build these habits.
It does.
And I guess just like learning any new skill, mastery comes through consistent practice and repetition.
That's such a crucial point to remember.
Yeah.
All learning, every form of mastery, comes through actively engaging and repeating the desired actions.
So even when it feels challenging, even when you don't see the result.
Even when you feel like giving up.
Yeah. So just keep going.
Just keep going.
And the text really emphasizes that the reward is profound.
It is.
It's transcending suffering and embodying a higher, more peaceful state of being.
Absolutely.
So what about those times when we slip up? When we don't live up to these agreements? What does the text say about that?
Yeah, it really emphasizes the importance of self-compassion.
Okay.
And avoiding that trap of judgment and self-pity.
Yeah.
So instead of beating yourself up when you stumble, the advice is to simply recommit to doing your best in the present moment. Take it one day at a time and gently begin again. And it offers this reassurance that with consistent effort and intention, living by these agreements will gradually become easier and more natural over time.
So it's about focusing on the progress, not perfection.
Exactly.
And really anchoring yourself in the now.
Yeah.
And concentrating on doing your best today.
Yes.
Not worrying about the future.
The future will take care of itself.
Yeah.
Just focus on today.
So making that decision to honor the 4 agreements with always do your best as the foundation.
Yeah.
It sounds like the beginning of a new dream.
It is. It's a new and more empowering dream for your life.
So to bring it all together, this deep dive into the 4th agreement, always do your best, really underscores that it's not about reaching some impossible ideal of flawlessness. It's about making a consistent, conscious effort in each moment, an effort that varies depending on your circumstances.
Right.
It's about fueling your personal growth, cultivating a deeper sense of self-acceptance, and ultimately leading to a more joyful and fully engaged experience of life.
Yes, and it's important to remember that your best is a fluid and deeply personal measure.
Yeah.
There's no external benchmark that you need to meet, and embracing this understanding allows for greater self-compassion and a focus on your own unique journey of growth.
So to leave you with a thought to ponder as you go about your day, just consider one area of your life where consciously applying this principle of your best could create a positive shift. And what small action could you take today doing your best in this moment to begin that process?
That's a good question.
It is a really powerful question to sit with.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining us for this deep dive.
Absolutely.
We'll catch you next time.
See you later.
Bye.